What's up, guys? Everybody wants to have job security, but you can't always get what you want in life. And such is the case with NFL players who have some of the greatest jobs in the world. Even though many of these guys are millionaires with elite athleticism, they're always fighting for their jobs. Alright, so there are exceptions. Given Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Drew Brees. 10 notable NFL players, some of them veteran Pro Bowlers, others recent draft picks, are running out of time to show they belong with their respective teams. And if they can't perform well in 2019, these guys will likely be looking for a new employer. I'm Jason Biondo, and today we present 10 NFL players entering a make-or-break year in 2019. Don't forget to leave your video ideas down below. We'll be looking, and if we choose your idea, we'll give you a shout out in the video. Make sure to subscribe to TPS and put on your notifications because we post videos every single day. Every day's a new video. Subscribe. And a big shout out to Fernando Tadeo Perez Capistrand for suggesting this video. Now that is a name. Good for you, man. Number 10, Sheldon Rankins. There was plenty of hype around Louisville defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins, whom the New Orleans Saints took with the number 12 pick in 2016. Rankins saw little time in his rookie year due to injuries, appearing in just 9 games. He was healthy for all of 2017, but finished with only 2 sacks and 26 combined tackles. Rankins showed signs of a breakout with 8 sacks in 2018, but he suffered a torn Achilles in the playoffs and missed the NFC Championship game. So far, that's 1 good year for Rankins, and 2 fairly unproductive ones. The good news for Rankins is that New Orleans picked up the 5th year of his contract, so they still believe he can grow into a top-tier defensive tackle. But Rankins is going to have to find a way to bounce back from that torn Achilles, as well as get healthy and build on a promising 2018 season. If he gets injured or struggles to produce results, the Saints might have to consider moving on from him. Number 9, Devante Parker. Drafted with the number 14 pick by the Miami Dolphins in 2015, Devante Parker still hasn't had that breakout year, and you wonder if it'll ever come at this point. Parker was the subject of trade rumors during a frustrating 2018 season in South Beach. Miami ultimately held on to him, and he finished with his most unproductive season thus far. Parker caught just 24 passes for 309 yards and 1 touchdown. He's only registered 9 scores through his first 4 seasons. Parker and Ryan Tannehill just weren't able to mesh, but maybe the addition of young quarterback Josh Rosen will do wonders for Parker. Miami doesn't have much to offer at wideout. It's basically just Parker and Kenny Stills, 2 talented but not so great wideouts. If Rosen can't help Parker break out in 2019, then the latter will be looking for a new home by 2020. It's up to new head coach Brian Flores to try and implement Parker into his new look offense. Will he succeed? We don't know, but we'll see. Number 8, Artie Burns. The Pittsburgh Steelers usually hit the jackpot with their first-round picks, but they're still waiting for cornerback Artie Burns, the number 25 pick from 2016, to put it all together. The Steelers' defense has quietly been one of the NFL's better units over the last 3 years. They've added more speed and youth to their secondary, but Burns has been a liability for far too long now. Pittsburgh GM Kevin Colbert made it clear that 2019 is Burns' final chance to find some consistency. The Steelers declined Burns' 5th-year option, meaning he can hit free agency in 2020. After a strong sophomore year in 2017, Burns regressed big time and logged a poor 58.6 grade from Pro Football Focus in his 3rd year. The Steelers have more than enough playmakers on defense, so they don't have to keep Burns. They can easily get by without him. And don't forget, the Steelers drafted Michigan State corner Justin Lane in the 3rd round. Clearly, they're preparing to move on from Burns, unless he can finally break out in his 4th year. Number 7, Derek Carr. Carr's stat line wasn't that bad in 2018, playing behind a brutal offensive line that saw him get sacked 51 times. Carr still managed to complete 68.9% of his passes for 4,049 yards and 19 touchdowns against 10 interceptions. But stats don't matter, wins do, and Carr has all the resources around him to get those much-needed wins in 2019. $100 million head coach John Gruden decided against moving on from Carr. Instead, he and GM Mike Mayock decided to rebuild the organization around the 3-time Pro Bowler. The Raiders brought in All-Pro wide receiver Antonio Brown, offensive tackle Trent Brown, Alabama running back Josh Jacobs, and big wideout Tyrell Williams. That's 3 big-time playmakers and a reliable offensive lineman. Now Carr really has to take off in his 6th NFL season. Otherwise, the Raiders may be tempted to take one of the many stud quarterback prospects of the 2020 draft. This is a team that's only made the playoffs once since 2003, and the Raiders can't keep waiting on Carr. The man simply has to show that he can still lead his team to a renaissance in the near future. Otherwise, it's adios. Number 6, Salomon Thomas. The San Francisco 49ers drafted the Stanford defensive end with the number 3 pick in 2017, but the results just haven't been there. Through his first 2 seasons, Thomas only compiled 4 sacks and 0 forced fumbles or passes defended. Thing is, the 49ers don't really have to be patient with Thomas at this point, because they loaded up on their front 7 during the offseason. San Fran traded for Kansas City Chiefs stud pass rusher Dee Ford, who was coming off a 13-sack season. They also landed Nick Bosa with the number 2 pick, and he promises to make an impact right away. The 49ers also signed linebacker Quan Alexander contender in free agency. See where we're going with this? The 49ers already have 2 new star pass rushers plus an athletic linebacker. It's up to Thomas to either become part of that ferocious D-line or simply give himself a fresh start with the new team. We'd say Thomas has to reach something close to 7 sacks in 2019. Otherwise, GM John Lynch will probably be happy to send him away to another team for a mid-round selection. Mr. Thomas, it's time to show the world what you can do. Number 5, John Ross. Wide receiver wasn't really a need for the Cincinnati Bengals when they drafted the Washington product with the number 9 pick in 2017. But the Bengals liked Ross too much and couldn't pass up this opportunity. Ross saw very little playing time in his rookie 2017 season due to a series of injuries plus bad management by now former head coach Marvin Lewis. But while AJ Green and Tyler Boyd were producing nicely in an otherwise frustrating year for the Bengals in 2018, Ross only tallied 21 receptions for 210 yards, though he did finish with 7 touchdowns. Ross can't just expect to score touchdowns. With Green getting up there in age, the Bengals need the younger Ross to step up and start playing a bigger role in the offense. New head coach Zach Taylor will do everything he can to help Ross out, but if the 5'11" speedster doesn't get it done, we wouldn't be shocked if Cincinnati moved on from him after the 2019 season. Number 4, Vernon Hargreaves. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been one of the worst drafting teams over the past decade, but taking this guy with the number 11 pick in 2016 looked like a smart move at the time. The team desperately needed to upgrade its secondary, and he had the skill set to be an impact player right away. But so far, the Buccaneers just haven't gotten much out of him, simply because he hasn't been on the field much. He had a solid rookie year, but injuries forced him to miss 7 games in 2017, and all but 1 contest in 2018. The Buccaneers defense is a mess, and even new head coach Bruce Arians will have a heck of a time trying to fix it. Arians needs him to stay healthy, and defensive coordinator Todd Bowles, who leans heavily on his corners, is the man to help him get on track. The Buccaneers have the talent to rebound in 2019, and he might play a huge role in it. Or the Bucs could be terrible again, and he will be among the many disappointments. It's time for him to reach his full potential now. His future in Tampa depends on it. Number 3, Andy Dalton. The Bengals have a knack for holding on to some people for way too long. They were only about 10 years late for firing head coach Marvin Lewis, who spent a decade and a half there despite never winning a playoff game. That's crazy. Like, who do you have to know to stay there for that long? Well, the Bengals might be ready to move on from Pro Bowl quarterback Andy Dalton if he can't step it up in 2019. He led the Bengals to the playoffs in each of his first 5 years, but the team has now endured 3 straight losing seasons. Dalton's stats have been dipping quite a bit in recent years, and there's no real excuse for it. He has 2 quality wideouts in AJ Green and Tyler Boyd. The rushing game got a boost from Joe Mixon in 2018, and the Bengals are giving tight end Tyler Eifert another chance to regain his star-like form in 2015. The Bengals aren't just going to play around with Dalton anymore. They already drafted a potential successor in Ryan Finley with the 104th pick in 2019. Dalton is only signed through the 2020 season anyway, so if he flops in 2019, the Bengals shouldn't have troubles trading him away. Or, you know, he could lead Cincy out of the AFC North basement and take them back to the playoffs. Andy, it's your last chance. Go make it happen. Or don't. You know, pick one. See what happens. Either way, you tried. Number 2, Leonard Fournette. The Jacksonville Jaguars drafted the flashy running back with the number 4 pick in 2017, and the selection paid off in year 1. Fournette rushed for 1,040 yards and 9 touchdowns in his rookie season, and he guided the Jaguars to the 2017 AFC Championship game. Fournette was oh so close to helping Jacksonville reach its first Super Bowl, rushing for 76 yards and a touchdown. But a hamstring injury plus a suspension limited Fournette to 8 games in 2018, and he averaged a woeful 3.3 yards per carry. Fournette finished the season with 439 yards and 5 touchdowns. Tom Coughlin also called out Fournette and fellow running back TJ Yeldon when the regular season ended. Coughlin said that they displayed behavior that was disrespectful, selfish, and unbecoming that of a professional football player. Fournette is supposed to be the rock of the Jacksonville offense. He now has to do 3 things if that's going to happen in 2019. Stay healthy, be a team player, and simply produce. Run the ball the way he did in 2017, and Fournette will be gold. Jacksonville brought in Super Bowl 52 championship quarterback Nick Foles to lead the offense. If he and Fournette play up to their usual standards, the Jacksonville offense will be a juggernaut. That's a big if though. But the bottom line is this: Fournette can't afford another down season, or that could be it for him in Jacksonville. Number 1, Jameis Winston. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers drafted Winston with the 1st overall pick in 2015, but they haven't gotten much out of their investment thus far. Winston has had off-the-field troubles, and there have been questions about his character. A porous 21-33 record speaks for itself, but Winston also had just 88 touchdowns against a whopping 58 interceptions through his first 4 years, along with an okay 87.8 rating. When Winston is on his game, he looks like the guy who can lead Tampa to the promised land. When he's not in his game, he looks like a guy that is better suited as a backup. Speaking of which, remember how many times he and Ryan Fitzpatrick kept replacing each other as the starter in 2018? Yeah, that's not really good for him. There aren't any more excuses for Winston. He has a world-class wide receiver in Mike Evans, a future Pro Bowl tight end in O.J. Howard, plus a quarterback guru head coach in Bruce Arians. Everything is there for Winston to succeed, but if he doesn't, doesn't, it's time for Tampa to move on. Winston has had plenty of time and chances to assert himself as a franchise quarterback. This is his final warning. If Arians can't help him break out, Jameis is a goner. Which other NFL players are entering a make-or-break year in 2019? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. I post videos every single week, and if you want more of me, you should go there. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes one click right down there. Make sure to subscribe to TPS and put on your notifications because we post videos every single day. Every day is a new video. Subscribe. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. I'll see you next time.
My knee.